What's up guys, Evil Hammer 6 here, and today I'm doing an update review. The Ancient Combat came out today, so this will be the first time you're going to see me going to get it right now. I'm going to the south, the building that's south of the dig site, so you can run there from Varrock, which will be a pain in the butt, or you can use a dig site pendant and just run south to this building. You have to claim it from the archaeological expert. To claim this and be able to use these, you have to be able to have at least 1 out of 75 attack, 75 magic, 75 ranger, 91 constitution. So you just have to have one of those. Basically, he'll give you a codex, which you basically just read it and you'll unlock them. So we'll read it here, and once I get it, here we go. We'll read it and we get new combat techniques. Well, that's pretty cool. There's the tendrils. Blah 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 blah, and we get all the cool stuff, whatever. So now we should have them. Come over here. Yep. Okay, so we don't need this book anymore. You don't need it after you have them. And they added 3 thresholds and 1 ultimate. The thresholds are the attack ones, and the ultimate is the Constitution one. So we'll just go over them how I have them in my tab. The Constitution one's Ice Asylum, and it's an ultimate. As I said, it summons a crystal that heals 3 times the amount of your life points. So it'll heal, right now, say I have 4,000 life points, it'll heal 12,000 life points to anyone else standing near the crystal, 1 to 7% varying their distance, every 4 seconds up to 20 seconds. So that's really good for a lot of PVMing, especially if you're going to do it with people. It's probably not very helpful if you're just duoing, but if you're at Calfight King in a 3 or 4 man team, that's definitely very helpful, especially if there's a decent amount of you guys doing something close together or anywhere. I don't know, we'll test it out. And then we have the Blood Tendrils, which is the attack one, and Blood Tendrils whip out of you and your opponent for 5 seconds. The first hit deals 180% damage, with 4 hits after that dealing 90% damage to your target and up to 25% damage to you. So basically it's like a give and take one, because you're going to do a lot of damage, but you're going to take damage as well. So it's very interesting how that takes out. We'll see if that 180% damage is the Shadow Tendrils, which whip at your feet, the same thing, in multiple succession for 35 to 250% weapon damage. Then they strike your opponent for 66 to 500% weapon damage. So this one, that is really interesting, because that is a lot of damage, like a range 33 to 250%. So it could do, like, 1,000 damage to, well, probably like around 25-33%. I'm trying to think. I believe a bleed effect's about that much. So about 180 to 250 to like almost half your health, and then probably almost KO your opponent, depending on what you're using against. Like if you're using a PvP situation, probably KO. I'm not sure about that one. You'd have to check, but that's a lot of damage. And then Smoke Tendrils, which is magic. So we're going to go up here to the top left corner, and it's this Smoke Tendrils one. And tendrils of smoke whip at your opponent's feet for 6 seconds. The first hit causes 100% weapon damage, and the second, third, and fourth causes 120, 150, and 200. But you also get hit for 25, 50, and then 100% weapon damage. That's a lot of damage. Once again, you're also getting hit. So all of these new abilities that are added are thresholds, and they do damage to you and your opponent at the same time. Okay, so what you're going to see me use here is the Blood Tendrils one. And what it will do is you'll have a giant hit to begin with, and then the bleeds afterwards. Now what you do see is I do get hit even, so if you do kill the monster or a person, you will still get hit with all of that afterwards. So you do have to be careful for that. So it does one major hit, as it says, the 180 damage, and then it does up to 90% damage afterwards, which is a giant bleed. I will say that. The 25% damage isn't really that much. You still see you probably are going to need a little bit more food or a healing familiar, but if you have something like a bunyip, at least on a Slayer task, I'd say this is a great threshold to start using, just due to the fact that these Abyssal Demons aren't going to really hit that much, especially when you have a very high level. Being able to do a lot of extra damage with a threshold like this is amazing. The freedom does not seem to have any effect via the bleed. So you, like a normal bleed, you can freedom out of, and it will stop hitting those. It'll stop hitting you over and over again with the bleed. This doesn't seem to work that same way. So then next we're going to try ranged. So we'll go ahead and use the shadow tendrils. Oh, that does a lot of damage. Okay, and it missed there. So they are weak to not weak to range. Therefore, it's not going to hit as often. But we'll see if I can get a hit in here. Okay, here's going to go attempt 2 here for the shadow tendrils. We're going to use it. There it goes, and nope. Here we go. And there's the shadow tendrils. It does a crap ton of damage to you right off the bat. So you do have to watch that. And then it does a decent amount of damage over time. I don't know about that one. That one seems questionable to me, although these are not weak to range. So that would be, interesting. But it does hit you for a lot of damage right off the bat. It hits you 2 to 5 times for a total of, 33 to 250% weapon damage, which does a lot. And it also does do a lot of damage to them, but you do have to watch your health on that. I wouldn't recommend using that when you are lower health, because it does do quite a bit of damage to you if you get on the high tier end of towards the 250. Okay, so here you're going to see the smoke tendrils, which the animation looks like this, and as you can see, they get hit by those big things. And now it didn't hit anything for those last 3. So it's supposed to do the 100% damage, which we did see, and then at 120, 150, and 200, those all missed. And I don't even think we got hit. I'll have to review that again in the clip, but it didn't look like we got hit. So I'll try that. So here we're going to use it once more, the smoke tendrils. So there it goes, the 1,000 missed. There's a 1,900, and we take the damage there. That was a lot of damage. Okay, and we also took a decent amount of damage there, 1,300. So, I mean, it is interesting due to the fact that you take damage and you give damage, but I'm not sure how that is, if it's a really good trade-off or not. In some situations I could see it being a good trade-off, but in others I could see it not being a great trade-off. Some types of Slayer tasks, most of them, I just don't bring in a familiar anymore. So if I bring the familiar and be able to use some of these extra damaging thresholds, just due to the fact that it is a threshold and gives you more damage output, I would use it. But in some other situations, like some PVM boss situations, I'd be sketchy on using these. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting concept for PvP though. So we're going to go ahead and use the ice crystal thing here. Here we go. Here goes the ice crystal, and there's the ice crystal, and now it's supposed to heal everyone. So as you can see, all the people around me slowly healing. I don't know, now they're not. Okay, it goes really slowly. Every once in a while you'll see someone pop up with a healing. So that is pretty damn cool right there. Especially if you're in like doing a mass or something, that's nice and helpful. If you're tanking or it's somewhere where you don't really need, you have some extra adrenaline to use. Definitely nice there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use some of the bleeds against Calfight King. What I've already noticed is you definitely don't want to use them in a phase that he is not weak. So if he's, like right now I'm using magic, I would not want to use those tendrils if he is in the range, because basically it just misses. It does not hit you for the damage if it doesn't hit him, which is a key thing. So you can use it if you just want to try, just go for it. But it's not going to damage you if it does not damage him. So if none of those attacks damage him, they will not damage you. Okay, after a bit more extensive testing of the tendrils, especially on bosses, I'm going to say that it's not really that great. And there's a few facts. It doesn't hit that often. So for a threshold like the ones that are currently existing in the game, do massive damage. Not massive, but a large portion of damage to a boss, and they hit most of the time when you use them. The tendrils abilities, they hit like maybe 40 to 50% of the time, and that's not counting the main first hit. That's counting all the bleed, well, not bleed effects, but the separate hits that come afterwards. 1 out of, maybe 2 out of 5 will hit most of the time, and most of the time the first one that does the most damage isn't going to hit. And then second, specifically to Calfight King, all of them, if the first attack hits, from what I've found out so far, and I'll let you guys know if I find anything else out, but if that first attack hits, it will make KK barricade, which is horrible to begin with, because he barricades and you can't hit him. But B is just, it doesn't hit that often on him, especially even if you're using what I was using was magic to begin with, and I was using it right as he came up out of the ground to begin with, and so I'm already overloaded 99 magic using Ancient Combat's spells of the Bloodfires. So the highest spell, and the basically best staff other than the Virtus wand. I have the offhand orb. So even with the max gear, it doesn't really hit that often, and that's versus the right combat style of weakness versus a boss. That's not even like testing it at like Nex or something that technically doesn't have a weakness, or another boss that doesn't have a weakness. That's with a boss that has a weakness. So that's just atrocious in my mind. That it doesn't hit anywhere close to the amount that any of the previous thresholds hold. And then I was using melee versus Calflight King, and even during range phase, it was barely hitting. I'd say, like I said before, about 2 out of 5. But when I use it in the melee phase, right as he spawns, it barely hit as maybe 1 out of 5 out of the times that it hits, and that's if it hit at all. So I'm not really a big fan of it. On the other hand, the Constitution ability, the Ice Asylum, really is amazing. It does heal a lot of health. It heals about 500 to 700 if you're close to it. Lasts for 20 seconds. Even if you're in a 3-man team, it's probably going to heal you all to full health if someone uses it. So it's much better than using, say, the Butterfly effect, Guthick's Blessing, at the end of the kill. You can just use the Ice Asylum if your person doesn't know how to heal Voke, and use the Heal Other. That Ice Asylum is a nice offset for it. And even for people that are DPSing or tanking, they can use this at the end. And if they don't, well, obviously they're not going to have the Heal Other, so they have a way to heal other people, and it is very helpful in that capacity. So that's about it, guys. I will see you later. Bye.